Hello, in this video I'm going to talk about two different kinds of vintage guitars, two different levels of vintage guitars. Right here is a Hoyer, I think it's called a Jazz Star. Beautiful looking guitar. It caught my eye on reverb and I had to check it out. And I had to do some things to get it to sound right, being that it's an older guitar from the 50s or 60s. The fretboard here was at a different angle than the rest of the fretboard because of the way the strings had pulled it up over time. And so it was kind of choking off the sound when the action was decent over on the regular part of the fretboard. I had to pull the frets above the body here, maybe 7 frets, and plane it down and put them back on. And that helped quite a bit. And I'm working on some replacing these adjusters on the saddle, which are hollow plastic. The Hoyer Jazz Star, as they call it, if you look for that name, you'll see a lot of guitars that look like this in the 50s and 60s. This one inside on the sticker, it says Lindbergh. So it does not say Hoyer on the sticker, however, it appears that's what this is, and the model is their high-end model, the Jazz Star, which had these great tortoise bindings, the Brazilian rosewood fretboard, solid carved top, and you know, as it comes along and as I do more stuff on this, I think this will be a pretty decent guitar at a very reasonable price. Vintage guitar we're talking. So the neck feels great. It's a bolt-on, but of the German style where they did this in the old days, even on some higher end guitars. I've got this little key that would actually let you remove it or tighten it. It just hooks it on. It doesn't adjust any truss rod or anything. I ordered the key from a place in Czechoslovakia, and they still make those, and this is standard size. But you can see it looks a little bit less, you know, a little more like machine-made kind of stuff here. But it feels fine. The sound is good. And I'm experimenting with changing out the adjustable plastic things. I'm trying out just some chunks of Macassar ebony I just sawed off of a little scrap I had. This is very crude, but just to see if it sounds any different. I think it does. I think it is richer this way, so I'll probably have to fit these things to be the right size and put grooves in them. They're just blocks on here right now. You can already hear the sound. I think you can hear it's a bit richer. Okay, but now here's here's a whole different class of guitar. Here's another class of guitar entirely, the Levin Deluxe. Very high-end vintage guitar, but nowhere near the price of a vintage L5. That's the appealing thing about it. And this came with flat wounds. I just took it out of the box. This is how it arrived. Didn't do anything to it other than put the strings up to tension. As you'll see, it sounds great, plays very easily. Somebody has played this hard, which I thought was a selling point. It's a good guitar. You know, somebody has really used this thing. They've got a pickup already installed, a floating pickup. You know, the headstock's missing some inlay that I'll have to replace, which I can do in my hobbyist work here. I can do stuff like that. The back of the neck is all worn. I just love it. I like this kind of wear. To me, that's a feature, not a problem. The cutaway was replaced. It's The sides are maple. This cutaway replacement is ebony. You can see the binding is kind of different. There's maybe some the joint is open a little bit. It doesn't bother me at all. I love this kind of a cutaway, and that's somebody had this customized to make it a usable working guitar, and it's a good one. So this of course costs quite a bit more, but it comes ready to go. And even I gotta say, even when I get the other one sounding as good as it can sound, I don't think it'll sound as good as this one, especially when I get the other kind. This has got flat wounds on it right now, which sound better than I expected. They're decent. They're not real old or anything, I don't think. But normally I'm not a fan of the flat wounds, so I think it'll be a little bit more complex as far as the sound when I get some round wound strings on it. Levin was a guy who worked at Gibson for a while in America, then went back to Sweden and started his own company. And the Levin Deluxe here, which has the characteristic inlay on the headstock with the 5 fingers or whatever they are, this is the sort of the counterpart to the Gibson Super 400. It's got an 18-inch body on the width here. The scale length, though, is the regular Gibson scale length, 24 3/4, which is interesting. So it doesn't have the long scale, but it does have the big body. And this cutaway is custom. Looking at the body a little more closely, Levin makes a cutaway, but I don't think it no volume control, just straight into the amp. But it's got an old Hofner pickup there.